Hello, I'm going to be going through and showing off a System Automation's image enablement or screen grab and search functionality within the System Automation Studio. First, I'm going to be showing the user functionality of a user actually doing the uh, text grab, copy to clipboard, and search within papervision.com. And then I'll go through and show the Automation Studio and how to set up the different commands and set up the script to run. So first, as I mentioned, I'm going to go ahead and pull up the clipboard where I have a couple different values I can copy to the clipboard. When I do a Control C, I can then either hit the hotkey, which I have configured as Control Shift T, or I can go into the actual automations agent and click the little play button right here. Copy search is what I have the automation named right now. You can also see on the little information or the automation information button that it will show what the hotkey is as well. So when I do this and I do a Control Shift T or press the play button, it will go through and grab the value from the clipboard and automatically do a search within my repository, showing all of the documents that met that search criteria. We have it configured to search the company name field within the accounts payable workflow project for Aaron's computer products or whatever was copied to the clipboard. So very simple, straightforward. Now I'm going to show in the Automation Studio how to configure that automation to work. So if I go up here to File, New Automation, this will allow me to create a new automation from scratch. So I'm going to do Clipboard Search as the name. Sorry, it takes a little while to generate the commands here. It's just going through and querying all the different libraries that exist within my Windows on this machine. From here, we have all of the commands that exist down in the bottom right. We have variables down on the bottom left. Variables are used within the commands, strings, things like that. Since System Automations is based upon C#, it does take a lot of the same C# logic and utilize it. I kind of say it's programming for dummies. You have to have a little bit of programming comprehension to do a lot of things with it, but it is very streamlined. So first, what I'm going to do is grab the different commands that I need to use for this. So the first one I'm going to do is one that you don't have to utilize, but we utilize in almost all of our commands, and that is the engine command, and it's set engine delay. What this does is it allows us to reduce the delay from the default, and that's how much time between each command it takes. So by default, it's 250 milliseconds, which doesn't seem like a lot, but when you potentially are running hundreds of commands back to back, it really adds up. So a lot of times I'll set this down to, 10, 20, 30, something along those lines. So I'm just going to set that to 10. Next up, I'm going to do the copy to clipboard. So I'm just going to type up here, copy, and we can see, let me do clipboard. Get clipboard text. So the get clipboard text. Now you can see here, it's got get clipboard text. That's the command to grab whatever's in my clipboard and put it into one of my variable values. Next, I'm going to do the create session. So what I'm doing here is with PaperVision commands, I'm going to be creating the PaperVision session to do the login and then the search and things along those lines. So I can back out of here and I can go down to the PaperVision commands as well if I'd like to look at what all PaperVision commands exist. So from here, I'm going to go ahead and do a search project command. And then after the search project command, I need to do an active browser command. And what this does is it takes the search that was created with these commands, which is essentially creating a search URL, and it uses a browser to open up that search that was created. So active browser commands, and it is active browser create application right here. So you can see here we've got the 5 different commands in the background. The other thing we're going to need to do is create our list of variables. So variables are, as I mentioned, the different programming type things. So like clipboard, for instance, is what I'm going to name one of my variables, which is a string variable, because this is what's going to store the clipboard value that I get in the get clipboard text command up here. I'm going to go ahead and fill out the other variables that I'm going to use in these other commands. Just know if you're building out your own fresh automation, you may have to build these variables as you're looking at the commands. And I'll kind of talk about that more when I get into configuring the individual commands. So quickly, I'm going to go through and create all of these different variables. Okay, so that should be all I need to do for creating the different variable commands. And now I go through and configure the the variable names and types. And now I go through and configure the actual commands. So I'm going to start with the get clipboard text. So I have to select the output variable that the clipboard value is going to go into. So I just come in here and I can click the dropdown, or I can type the value in. So clipboard is the one I'm using here, and then I just hit save. Then I'm going to go to create session. The PV instance name I'm using is PV instance. And I'm going to just type that in, and it does a little drop down there that auto fills. And you notice it shows red. That's just because at first when I typed in PV wasn't an actual SR PA app instance. Now, if I click off of this, it will go white. And then the server URL, this is where I need to kind of fill in values based on my knowledge of what I need to have here. So this one would be HTTPS login.papervision.com. And you do have to put quotes around your values. Again, since this is ultimately C# based, we do have to put quotes around things that aren't variables. So we're essentially saying that this is the text that's going to be filled into this variable that we're not defining. A little confusing, but 306 is my instance name. And then for my username, it's Digitech Systems. For the password, I'm actually leaving the password blank. So I'm just going to put in double quotes. For this particular scenario, the password is blank. And the last thing I need to do, that should be all I need to do in this particular command, so I can hit save. And then I have to define which project I'm going to search in. So I have to do the same thing here, where for the instance, I do PV instance and select it. And then the project ID, I know that it's project 45. So if you are configuring this to work with a papervision.com project, you would need to log into the into the system as an admin and look in the project list. And when your project name list, it'll have a project ID on the left-hand column of what the project ID for that project is. And then I need to grab the field name, which is company name, and the field value, which is coming from clipboard. I didn't select from and it is case sensitive, so there we go. And for the search URL, this is where I'm going to use the browser variable down here at the bottom. Oh, no, I apologize. Search URL down at the bottom. So this is where it's populating the search URL in. Yeah, there we go. Save that one. So now we have it did reorder it there on accident. So we've got the create session, the search project, and the final one is active browser create application. So in this one, I'm going to use the browser as the instance name. I'm using Chrome right now. I can use, if you look in the dropdown, I can use Chrome, Firefox, or Edge are the supported browsers right now. And then for the URL, I'm actually going to use the search URL. And you can choose to maximize the window or leave it in the normal non-maximized state, and then hit save. So now we've got it in the correct order. We've got the set engine delay, get clipboard text, create session, search project, active browser create application, Chrome, and that is all the steps we need for this particular project. So I'm going to go ahead and hit save. When I save for the first time, it is going to ask me to name the save file. So I'm going to name it the same as I named the project, which is clipboard search. And I'm going to do an underscore there just to make sure there's no spacing in the name. And I'm going to hit save. This by default will save to your My Documents, System RPA, and My Scripts, which is the default save location for scripts. And then we're good to go. So we haven't published this or set a hotkey yet, but I always like to test the script before I publish it. So I'm going to go back to the text file here, and I'm going to copy, AWOL company to my clipboard. And then I'm going to go back into the script, and I'm just going to hit the start debugging button. And what this does is it'll go through and run the script for me, and it'll make sure I can easily test to see if I have anything going on, anything wrong, things like that. So I do notice that it automatically opened up the first document instead of showing me a list. And that's because in the configuration of the search URL here, I did not set the show correctly. I needed to do search results instead of documents. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit save there again. And now we know it should be good. Since everything worked fine, it opened up the first document, things like that. I don't think we'll have any sort of problems. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and click save again, and go up to Tools, Triggers, and I'm going to set a hotkey for this particular one. So I'm going to do Control-Shift-C instead of Control-Shift-T like I did with the other one. I'm going to go ahead and hit save. And then I'm going to save the script and do a file and then publish clipboard search. So I'm going to publish this automation, which will take the file. It'll create a new syspub instead of sysauto file, and it automatically sets it in the correct location, which is your My Documents System RPA published folder. So if I click publish, it'll go out to that folder. If I browse out to that folder, you can see here I now have a clipboard search that was just created. Once the syspub file is in here, I can go into my agent, and you'll see that I have the clipboard search here. It is not loaded, which means it's not activated yet, so it won't work until I click the load button and turn it on. And then I can go ahead and hit the play button, or I can hit the hotkey. So if I open up the text file again and do a Control-C and then Control-Shift-C, it should go ahead and run the search and pull up a search results with the Alligator company. So that is how quick and easy as it can be to set up a studio file and a new automation to do a search within papervision.com. You can also use the System Automation Studio to create other automations doing a number of different things. So thanks so much for your time and have a great day.